Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. Do you still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
Welcome back to the Patriots Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Andy Brown. With me are the brothers Brown. Steve Brown, how's it going?
Great to be back in the playoffs.
Damn right, yeah.
Missed it.
Back in the playoffs. Yeah, it's been so long since we've done a playoff episode.
Yeah.
A whole season, sorry. And also Greg Brown from Vacation Land, USA.
Live from South Carolina.
Yeah, pork country.
Somerton. Went down to my local Piggly Wiggly. Picked up some, pork butts. Some fried giblets.
Some pig skins.
Yeah. They legit had a 5-pound bag of pork skin.
That's a lot of pork skin. How many pigs do you think is 5 pounds of pork skin? Is that just one big old pig? Because pigs get big.
The thing was probably the size of my torso, the whole bag itself.
Oh my God.
I think a pig probably has more than 5 pounds of skin.
I mean, they're heavy.
Yep.
I don't know.
Depends how fat, right?
Stat check.
I don't know. I don't know if we do that sort of stat check here.
I don't know what to type in.
Speaking of pigskin, we're here to talk about some football.
Football.
Like that.
That's really good, yeah.
Yeah. Not warm weather football, though. This is about as cold as it gets. This is the divisional round playoffs. 2003 AFC Divisional round. Patriots hosting the Tennessee Titans and co-MVP Steve McNair. Country strong. Steve McNair.
Air McNair.
Nat McNair. So, what did you think of it? Well, actually, let's
talk about the weather. That's the.
All right.
See, I sort of forgotten about this game because the next game really overshadows it. And you said to me it was the coldest game in Patriots history.
It's debatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the coldest games ever. There's like a few games that are all within like a degree or two. So I guess it depends on what your calibration on your thermometer is. You know?
Which, if you're going by the guy in the stands, who I think is probably one of the best props I've seen at a football game, he had one of those, the white thermometer, like the circular ones with the red arrow, but the arrow had broken off and was just sitting at the bottom of it. Which is perfect. So it looks like it's saying -60, but it's just like it fell off. It's so cold.
That was
But
it didn't seem that cold though. No one seemed to be like hating life out there.
I don't know.
Breath, but like I don't know. No one seemed to be. It didn't seem to affect the game as much. Because
I mean, there were some drop passes I think due to cold fingers, but I think the people it affected most were our commentators.
Well, let's talk about before we jump.
Go right into the commentator.
Andy couldn't fucking wait to talk about
these fucking guys.
Let's give him the historical context here. This game at kickoff is 2 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. 2 degrees Fahrenheit.
The
-11 with wind chill.
Yeah.
So this is like, I've been to a couple super cold games.
Yeah.
Like I went to Patriots Broncos in 2013, that one where we came back on Manning.
Oh,
And I was so fucking cold during that game. So I looked it up. I'm like, it's got to be like pretty comparable. It was 22 in that game. And I'm like, I feel like a bitch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then I went to 2017 New Year's Eve, Pats Jets. It was a pretty forgettable game. But it was 13 degrees Fahrenheit. And I remember I went into that game thinking, there's no way I'm going to end up like I did at that Broncos game. And I was just like a ball of jacket and sweater. Dude. I literally had like 15 layers on. I was like, ain't no way I'm getting cold. And it worked.
All right. All right.
But still, if you're a football player, you can't do that. So you're playing in 2 degrees is unbearable. You know?
Yeah. And you could kind of see it too. Like there weren't a lot of in the running game, there weren't a lot of like big tackles. It would just kind of like grab the guy and kind of push him to the ground. There was no like heavy hitting in this, I didn't think, except for Rodney Harrison because he's an absolute psychopath. But other than that, the game felt like it was going a little bit more slow motion. Just because
I don't know. I think that was just more the style of the Titans and the Patriots. It was a tight game. It was like real close contested, you know?
Yeah.
Run the ball a lot.
Did you ever play football in the cold, Andy?
You could really run.
Yeah. It sucked.
It sucks. Yeah, I was gonna say I played soccer in the cold and it blows. I can't even imagine what it feels like to play football.
It's awful because your hands go first, and so if you're a skills player, you're fucked. Like you're gonna drop everything because you can't move your fingers anymore. And then any like contact with open skin, it has that like stabbing feeling, you know, like all the tiny little needles and stuff just like shoot straight out from wherever you got hit, and it's awful.
Sounds just like you're like a little bitch though.
I mean, yeah, that's why I switched over to soccer.
Yeah.
And found other ways to injure myself instead.
Fuck this.
Yeah. So I don't have as many concussions, but my knees are garbage.
I don't know. I was just saying I was expecting it to be like the Ice Bowl. We all seen that highlight. On the other, it didn't seem like that cold.
Well, they put up a graphic, coldest games in NFL history. The Ice Bowl was -13, and I'm assuming these numbers are not with wind chill, but -13 is fucking cold. And then there was an 81 AFC Championship game was -9. San Diego at Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't know anything about this game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say San Diego did not win that. Being from Southern California coming to play -9. And then the 93 AFC Divisional playoff game, Raiders at Buffalo, was 0 degrees. So those are, I think, the 3 colder games in this.
What's the temperature? There isn't one.
Nope.
You don't want to know.
So every time, I mean, we've told the story about me failing out of Penn State. So every time I get in the car and my car thermometer says it's 0 degrees, I always text my wife and say, what does the temperature today and my time at Penn State have in common? No degrees. She didn't even think it was funny the first time, so I'm glad you boys laughed.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I've been doing that for ages.
Degrees.
Yeah, no degrees.
It really is the wind chill, though. Not to get all nerdy on you, but the wind chill is because that
it didn't look that cold because it wasn't that windy. I don't know. I think they were thinking it was going to be windier.
I think it was. They said it was windier either earlier in the day or the day before, like when they were practicing. I think it was the day before when they were practicing because they were talking about Brady throwing it in the wind and not being affected. But that would have made it much, much worse. Yeah, because the wind takes the cold and puts it places you can't protect. You know, like it gets up underneath your jacket and up in your bits, and
it also like gives you like when like the wind stops, you get that like, ooh, this is what it could be, which is slightly more bearable, and then it kicks up again, and you're like, motherfucker.
I'm just getting used to that. Yeah, it's so true.
Or you just like step around a building or something, and it cuts off for a second.
Yeah. This is heaven.
Yeah. But I did like you get the shots because it's so cold. The shots of literally everybody standing around those massive like jet engine heaters.
Oh yeah,
like trying to be the guy closest to it. Those things are great. Although not a lot of sweating like steam off the head shots as I would have wanted.
Yeah, but the breath was actually incredible in this game. Like their breath.
Oh yeah.
You want to do that thing where they're like the 2 lines are lined up.
Yeah, and you could see it from like from the regular camera view, like the studio camera view.
That's cool.
Yeah, you just need Steve Sable in the background.
Yes,
giving you something, dun dun dun, like some orchestral music. Yeah,
so true. Battle of the trenches. But I think the other thing that was noticeable because of the weather was the kicking in this game. it looked like they were kicking lead balloons out there.
Yes.
Like every kickoff, I think landed probably around the 20. Like it came out looking good and then just died. Like that ball just died. And also the field goal attempts. I think on the day, both field goal kickers, 1 for 2? 1 for 3?
1 for 3.
Yeah.
One block, though.
Right, with one blocked. So not a great day.
Gary Anderson,
kicking.
right?
Yep. Mr.
Yeah.
Face bar
The old
himself.
single bar. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Gary
It
Anderson, who kicked the game-winning field goal the week before to get the Titans here.
I was going to ask, do we want to talk about how Tennessee got here? Because they had this wasn't their first playoff game. Did you have?
Correct. They won their wild card. I have a bunch of notes on the other games from this week.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good thing
not
to
the
touch
wild card games,
Well,
because
let's-
those other games are fucking insanity. But
They are, but let's touch on
the Titans,
Yeah.
to get here,
Yeah,
so they beat the Ravens last week in Baltimore. I think they were actually at a better record than the Ravens going in, but the Colts had won the
Same
division, so they had to
yep.
travel. Yeah,
Yep.
they had to travel to Baltimore.
Co-MVP.
And that was the Ray Lewis, Jamal Lewis, that squad. So
Can
they're
you name
built on defense and running.
Can you name the quarterback for the Ravens in that game?
Oh, dude, I read it like a couple
Tony
weeks ago.
Banks?
It's
Nope. Worse.
someone like Jackson or
Anthony Wright.
Anthony Wright.
Oh,
I couldn't even tell you what number it was. I can't picture him at all.
neither.
Yeah.
can I.
He looked like he had a good game. 20 for 37, 214, a touch, 2 interceptions. Not great. Never mind.
But it looked like an AFC North battle.
Oh, yeah.
where-
Titans won 20-17. This looks like a bit of a slugfest.
on an Anderson field goal. And I think that the Ravens had a defensive touchdown from Ed Reed.
Okay.
It was one of those games. Actually,
Will Dempsey.
one important play that happened was Ed Reed did get a pick in that game, and Eddie George separated his shoulder trying to tackle Ed Reed.
Is that how it happened? Because they talked about the
Yeah.
separated shoulder.
Mhm.
And Eddie, he's playing in this cold they said his shoulder was in a sling, and he was playing
Yeah.
because he separated last week
Uh-huh.
in the cold.
Tackling Ed Reed.
But and
That's
running
crazy.
with,
They neglected to mention that.
I believe the commentator said running with violence is how they talked about Eddie George running. Which
Yeah, he had a ridiculous stiff arm on Ray Lewis too.
did he?
One of those ones where he kind of catches him off balance and
yeah,
picked
just
him up and threw him.
drops
It
his
was
ass. I love those.
badass. Yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
That's what's the name for the Titans now? Does that all the time.
Derrick Henry for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a grown ass man. But yeah, Eddie George, just to touch on him, they showed a couple of stats which I thought were kind of indicative of who he was as a running back. He was one of 2 players in the NFL to rush for 10,000 yards without missing a start. The only other guy was Jim Brown. So that's pretty good company. He ranked first in among running backs since 1996. He was first in starts, first in rushes, second in yards, third in touchdowns. So he had 2,700 rushes for just over 10,000 yards, which I think works out to be less than 4 yards a carry. So he is just an absolute grinder.
Pounded in there,
10,000 yards on 3.6 yards per carry. And in this game, in the first half, he was averaging 2.3.
Wow.
He just grinds that shit out over and over again.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
just kind of
you
who
get
he was
7
as a
yard
runner.
and then you lose 2 yards. He's just getting 3 yards every time.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying. I think it was Phil Simms in this game was talking about how he's the perfect playoff running back because that's what he'll do is he'll get you 3 yards every time. He's not going to get you more. He's not going to break anything big, but he's never going to put you behind the chains and you don't have to go catching up because he's lost a bunch of yards. So, and I think in that game against the Ravens, looks like as a team, Tennessee ran for 165 yards on the ground. So they just ran it down. Oh, yeah. Eddie George and the other guy, Chris Brown.
Chris Brown, shout out.
Mom's favorite player, yeah.
Shout out Mom and
Patriots.
also the abusive singer.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
Chris Brown
allegedly.
battered his
Jesus.
way into the end zone in the previous game for a touchdown.
Oh
and also
my
in this
God.
one. But yeah, neither of those guys had 100 yards in the last game. They still ran for like almost 200. So a typical,
And you got Aaron McNair, who's
Right.
also a pounder.
yeah, country strong.
Country strong boy.
Mhm.
He is.
He ain't easy to tackle. That's for sure.
They kept
No.
showing highlights for that double overtime Rams game though.
Yeah.
During this.
Oh, I got notes on that, dude. It's fucking insanity.
Yeah. So
because I only
Let's-
saw. I'll
You
tell
wanna
the
talk
stats
about it
I
now?
saw.
now let's hold off on that
Right.
until we can touch on this game first.
Okay.
Let's get through this, and then we'll talk about the rest of the league. Because I
Okay,
mean,
'cause I'm excited.
it's a little out of control. Yeah. So first half was kind
Wanna
of
give
where.
it a Lombardi score.
Oh well, Greg has his new rating system, but I think it sounds like he actually watched this game.
Yeah, we determined it was the same thing because there were 6 different tiers.
There were.
We just got a different name. What were they, Greg?
It was a name game was the top.
Yeah, title game, thumbnail
Thumbnail.
game,
Right.
hidden gems, business as usual, and slogfest.
And then losses.
And then we were like, we should put a 6th in there. Yeah.
which is losses.
Yeah.
So where would you put this one, Greg?
I don't know. I think this business as usual. I don't know if like anything really jumped out at me. I don't know. I don't think it was a hidden gem. It's certainly not a thumbnail game. I mean, the cold adds a cool factor,
put
and it was
this-
a tight game, but
I would put this as kind of like in the hidden gem range. I would put this as a 3.
It was an exciting game.
Yeah. I because it was close all the way through.
Yeah.
You're playing the co-MVP.
yeah, it was exciting.
And I think the Titans came to play, and they were both just like, this was also a bit of a slugfest. They were both giving each other right and left hooks all the way
That was
through.
Wide shots. That was one of those fucking just
Yeah.
wide shot games this week. And I always love the Titans. I always had a soft spot for them. It was
You
a little
did.
good.
You fucking traitor.
And I could draw their logo. So easy.
It's nice. It's got flames.
It's
Flames
like
are
that
easy.
ads.
And I remember Dad calling Eddie George the man with 2 first names, which I thought was hilarious. I hadn't Eddie George.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Derrick Henry. What the fuck?
Ooh,
Jeff
wow, I
George.
didn't even put that together.
Yeah.
Damn.
They're-
So
Do we know they're not the same person?
Say it again.
Do we know they're not the same person? Derrick Henry and Eddie George?
We don't.
You know what? I thought this as I saw this game, and they showed some close-ups of Rodney Harrison as well, and I said both those guys, they look the same now
Ooh.
as they
Yeah.
did when they were like in 2003. Rodney Harrison looks the exact same now as he did.
Has not aged at
Yeah.
all.
And Eddie George, same way.
Yep.
Didn't we talk about Eddie George being good looking?
Yes, we did.
I think so,
That's
yeah.
Kelly
Yeah,
weighed
yeah.
in, yeah.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Eddie George is a good looking guy.
Yeah, I
camp.
think I was with you, and Andy was not, and Kelly
Andy's-
ruled. They were
I wasn't at
That's
first.
because Andy's racist.
No, I wasn't at first because his little like headshot went like during the game.
let
It
me
looked
guess
like an
why,
alien.
Andy.
It made it look like an alien.
Why?
And then
Because
you
he
guys made
doesn't
me
fit
Google
into
it.
your like
cookie cutter
your
box.
normal cisgender white male
Because
face. Huh?
the
Is that
top
why?
of his head was twice the size of the bottom of his head. It was
Dude,
not a
get
good angle
real.
for his picture.
Get real. He's a beautiful man.
Then you had me Google him, and yeah, he looks great in a suit.
So is Harrison. I think Harrison's pleasing to look at.
He's very handsome. Yeah, yeah.
Now he
he's,
like dresses nice
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
he's
We
he's
haven't
one of
aged a
Aaron's
bit.
favorites. Actually, he's one of my wife's favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I think both of them are better than Garoppolo. Garoppolo doesn't do it for me.
I agree.
I think
You-
we're
He
Racist
seems too like, I don't know. His
too
face.
coiffed.
Yeah. Or like it almost feels like what a good looking person should look like rather than like, okay, that guy actually has like a charisma in his face. It's like a stock photo.
Yeah,
Of what a good-looking person, you know?
Made a good-looking person.
That sounds racist, Greg. Is
Go
it just
on.
because he's Italian? Is that why?
I almost just said, is he Italian? And then I was like, that's a stupid. Is Jimmy Garoppolo Italian?
You already did
No.
that with Mahomes.
Oh yeah. Let's.
All
right,
yeah,
moving
that
on.
one I'll admit. I had no idea.
Oh jeez.
Very naughty.
Very naughty.
Yeah, so I think so are we laying on a 3 for this, like 3 Lombardis out of 6?
I give it a 4 even.
I'm giving it a business as usual because
I'm giving it a hidden gem.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's not bad. All right, and there wasn't a whole lot of scoring to talk about, which I think is probably why it's not a more memorable game. Because the one play that I actually remembered from this is Tom Brady's touchdown pass to breakout star Bethel Johnson.
Our guy, Bethel, the playmaker.
Fucking killing it. So,
his speed made that happen.
So we got deep between the safeties, and Brady hit him for a 41-yard touchdown on the Patriots' first drive of the game.
Yeah.
The game.
And it was
I remember I missed this play.
You did?
Uh-huh. I remember turning on the game and it was already 7-0, and I was like, what the shit, dude? And then there was like no scoring after that, and I was like, God damn it.
This is the one touchdown that was going. Yeah, but this was also right off the back of my MVP's probably play of the game, Kevin Falk on third down, converting a tough third down, which you would do.
WD-33.
WD-33, that's right. We need to make T-shirts of that or something.
The grease monkey.
The grease monkey.
Oh, boy.
Working in the auto shop, Greg?
The human lubricant. Yeah. I'm telling you, Andy, that was genius. That you thought that
I think it's a great idea.
It's all right. So we'll make some T-shirts. We'll put them in the pod shop.
Those T-shirts you got.
That sounds like another thing we say we're going to do that we don't do.
Yeah, well, this is now the third time I think I've said it, so I'm actually going to do it this time. I wrote it down this time.
Greg,
yeah.
We say we're going to do, Andy does it all. Anyways, let's be real.
Yeah, this is true. This is like the only thing, this podcast and the website, literally the only things I follow through with in my entire life.
That is very true, too. That's why when we started this thing, I was like, okay, I'll agree to do it because it's
6 episodes tops. Yeah.
It's like Andy will give up soon enough.
You can probably blame COVID for that because, I mean, what are you going to do?
That's true.
That's true.
So, yeah. So, back to the game, the scoring. We got the Bethel Johnson touchdown, and then Tennessee, I thought, kind of drove the ball up and down the field, but just couldn't score at the end. I was surprised at how well they moved the ball.
Yeah.
But I probably shouldn't have been because, like, at the beginning of the game, the commentators were talking about Jeff Fisher, about his offensive game plan, and his response was, "We've nailed it. We've got it."
Yeah,
he was like, sure they're gonna.
That's hilarious.
We've got this. We're gonna put up a shit ton of points. They scored 14, just for the record. We haven't.
But this was the 5th ranked offense in the NFL.
Yeah, and
so they're prolific.
But it was all Steve McNair. I mean, we've actually talked about these Titans at the beginning of this season, which I had forgotten that this is the second time they've seen each other. But even back then, they were talking about like this entire offense just runs through Steve McNair, and he's actually had to grow as a passer because usually he would kind of, if he got into trouble, he'd tuck it and run, and he'd like run for 3 yards. But now he decides to chuck it up into coverage, and sometimes the guy comes down with it for 25 yards instead of the 3 yards that he normally gets. But having said that, Steve McNair did lead the league in quarterback rating with 100.4, which is pretty good for 2003 anyway.
Can we talk about him being co-MVP with Peyton? Because this is like the only time this has ever happened, right?
I was going to ask that. Yeah,
sport ever that I can think of.
Yeah, I don't know about MVP. I don't pay attention to other sports because fuck them.
No, that's not true. I won co-MVP of my high school soccer team.
That's right, and I haven't let you forget it.
Yeah. And Andy was MVP, so he thinks he's some fucking big wig.
I never had to share it. That's all I'm saying.
Is this the only one Steve McNair won too? Because Peyton was another one.
Great question. I'm looking it up now. So I don't think this is. So I'm on Wikipedia now. The AP NFL Most Valuable Player Award, I'm assuming, is what we're looking for here. So this is 2003, Peyton Manning, Steve McNair. It has not been shared since.
I don't think it's ever been shared in any other sport I can think of.
So they just it must be a voting system and they tied? that right?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what
So
it was.
I love how confident Steve is when I'm literally on this page and I said it hasn't happened since then. And I worded it that way because it has happened before in the NFL
What?
in 1997.
Yeah.
97?
97.
Wait, let's guess. Let's guess.
kinda-
All right, give me a guess.
NFL MVP, or is this like
NFL
AFC?
MVP.
Pro NFL MVPs.
Yep.
97.
Mark Brunell?
No. You should be able to get one of these.
Steve Young and Brett Favre.
Brett Favre was one of them, correct?
Okay.
Elway?
No,
that's a good
not
guess.
a quarterback.
Oh, what
Yeah.
position? Just
Running
narrow
back.
it.
I mean, what other position you going to get? I don't think there's ever been. Let's see. The last
97.
Running back. Sean Alexander?
Terrell Davis.
time. Oh,
TD. No, not TD.
shorter.
Shorter as in height?
Barry Sanders?
Yep, shorter. Hey, there you go.
Barry Sanders.
Barry
97?
Sanders
Wow.
split it with Brett Favre. I'm assuming Barry Sanders is 97. That may have been the.
That's a good
season
trivia.
after. That's not bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time somebody other than a quarterback or running back won the NFL MVP was 1986. It was a defensive player. Any guesses?
I wasn't even born yet, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of those 86
LT,
Bears
LT,
guys.
Right?
LT. Nicely done.
Huh.
And then 2 years before that,
That's a
all right, 3 years before that, 1982, Mark Mosley, a place kicker. Somehow won MVP
Yeah.
in 1982.
Fucking Ben and Terry's over here being like, what the fuck, man?
Right? The only place kicker to ever win it. That's fucking ridiculous. Okay,
That's ridiculous.
sure.
Hey, remember when Manti Te'o had a fake girlfriend? Remember that?
Yeah. I don't know why that just came up now. But
I was
yeah.
just thinking like Heisman winners that are like candidates that were non-offensive. And I was like, oh, Manti Te'o. Remember that shit?
I do.
Poor guy. He's going to be remembered forever for having a fake girlfriend.
Yeah, he played a little bit in the NFL. He played for the Dolphins.
Is.
Yeah, but what do you remember of him? Fake
Oh, yeah.
girlfriend.
Exactly that. Yeah. Getting catfished.
Yeah.
Right?
He got catfished. He got.
He was the cutting edge of the catfishing wave.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everyone else
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck? You can do this shit?
Yeah.
And then a million.
MTV had just come out with that show, Catfish.
Yeah.
We're all like, whoa, this is like an
Wait, this is real?
epidemic of catfishing.
You don't have to say who you are on the internet?
Yeah.
God, and people fall for that?
Age, sex, location. Remember that?
ASL, baby.
ASL.
I remember
Yeah,
back in the AOL chat room days, me and Mike Mello used to buy a case of Surge, and we used to get on the chat rooms, the lesbian chat rooms, and pretend to be lesbians.
You guys are such bad boys.
Super bad boys. ASL, baby.
Dude. You guys are crazy. Crazy.
A whole case of Surge, and you know,
Surge,
dude.
Lesbians, they're so much different than us. It's going to be sick.
To be fair, this was middle school, but yes, it was crazy. Nobody knows who you are on the internet. I guarantee there was no lesbians in that room.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other surged up 13-year-olds talking to each other.
Yeah.
I just got told off by Kelly. I was making fun of Andy, not lesbian people. I said lesbian people are normal. Andy was the weird one.
Yes. Oh, 100% weird.
Don't worry, we can just isolate that one sound clip, Greg, and play it over and over again.
Definitely me. Oh boy. I don't know how to transition from that one. I was trying, but I couldn't get there.
What's the score at halftime?
14-7 Patriots.
14-7 Patriots.
And it ends 17-14.
So Bethel Johnson has a big touchdown. They come right back. The Titans storm back and get a touchdown of their own.
Yeah.
Which you definitely see a lot.
Adam
How did
missed
we score the second
field goal on the next drive and this is his 10th missed field goal of this season, which
one?
that's a lot.
No Gustowski.
That's a lot. You don't see Gostkowski missing 10 field goals in a season, do you? I think last time he started missing that many, he got cut. Or got shut down with an injury.
Next play, though, Rodney Harrison interception.
Yeah. The Titans did the patented Patriots.
That's true.
As soon as you get a turnover, you take the deep shot, and Rodney Harrison was not falling for it.
They did that in the second half where they attempted double pass too.
Yep.
And Willie sniffed it out immediately, and the tight end caught it. Why the tight end?
Which also,
right in his face.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick because that was it was what looked like a throwback pass. Like it was kind of like the Brady to Edelman to Amendola pass, but on the other side of the field. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. Except they threw it to Frank Wycheck for the first one, and he was like looking like he was taking steps back as if he was going to throw the ball. Was Frank Wycheck a quarterback in high school or something? Like you don't often have your tight ends be the guy in that position.
He threw the Music City Miracle. Remember?
That's true. Badly.
That was a good throw.
No, we threw it absolutely perfectly. What do you mean badly?
He threw it forward in a backwards lateral pass. That was bad.
That literally could not have been more perfect pass.
Sideline, yeah.
Sideline to sideline.
Down a little bit to get it, but he didn't have to move. He just stood there and just like bent down and caught it.
I mean, for a tight end, it was a good throw.
Like across his shoulder. That throw was like one of the best throws in NFL history, I would say.
Oh, easy.
Wow.
It Greg, was.
I thought special teams didn't matter. You were on record fucking last episode shitting on Belichick saying how much special teams is bullshit. Don't call this the best throw in NFL history.
Oh, happened on special teams. What a fucking surprise.
When you're right, you're right. When you're right, you're right. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'm just saying, considering the circumstances and who was throwing it.
Oh, wow. Brutal. Yeah,
but every time the Pats like turned it over, this game was close enough. Patriots made a couple mistakes, and the Titans would take a shot, and Pats defense would come up huge.
Yeah.
That was kind of the game.
That was kind of the game, yeah, because the only other drive the Patriots offense put together was right at the end of the first quarter, with again your boy Bethel Johnson coming on strong at the end of the season. He it was like third and 13 or something like that. Caught a quick pass over the middle, got hemmed in and turned around and started reversing field, running back the other way. Tom Brady threw an absolute monster block to spring him for the 13 yards.
Dude, you should definitely put this as a highlight on the website.
It's going to be on there. I cut the
sweet block from Brady, like a nice, clean cut block.
Yeah, it was like he's had a couple of those. There was one recently, like his last season on the Patriots, when they're against the Bills, remember? And he ran downfield and blocked whoever their top cornerback was. Yeah. Tre'Davious White.
Yep.
And it was that similar, like, like just throw himself at the guy's knees sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like quarterbacks do. But in this one, he got him full on. I don't know who it was. But it was a big guy, and he went.
You know who else does that?
Who else is that?
Brett Favre.
Brett
Favre and shit like that.
He's just having fun.
But you don't like Brett Favre because, you don't like guys that just have fun out there and play football and are gunslingers. But now Tom Brady does it, and you're like, oh, my God, did you see that block? It was so sick.
Is this like a...
I don't know where we're headed with this.
Where are we going with this?
I'm saying, be consistent. You either like the guys that do stupid shit because they're football players and they have fun out there, or you don't like them.
I think it's remarkable because Brady doesn't really do a lot of that shit.
Right. He only does it when it's absolutely necessary.
It's notable in the fact that he doesn't do it very often.
Yeah. Whereas I think
it's only when it's
was it this game, or was it maybe last week where they showed a highlight of Brett Favre running 20 yards downfield to throw that block for no fucking reason?
Yeah, that was so sick. What do you mean no reason? It was awesome.
Reason. It didn't do anything.
I'm not debating it's awesome.
He just wanted to show that he's a football player. Look, this is what I do in my backyard when I wear my Wranglers. I run downfield and block my friends.
Dude, he just loves football, and he was just so excited to complete that pass. He was like, I just got to run. hit somebody. And you know what? His teammates probably loved that shit, and they got hyped up when it happened.
They definitely did.
Yeah,
but I just think that Brady doesn't do that very often. He would do all that shit all the time. So it's notable when Brady does it. I wouldn't want Brady doing it all the time because he's going to get fucking beat up.
Yeah, he's going to get addicted to painkillers. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, dude. He's got those long fucking tendons.
He's very pliable, I know. But at this point,
That's true.
He wasn't.
Drinks a lot of water. He'll be fine.
You're not drinking a lot of water in this game because the
Can't
commentators
get concussions when you got headache.
That's right.
When you're hydrated.
That's right. Yeah, you drink a lot of water. You don't even get sunburns if you don't have water.
That's right.
But you couldn't drink any water in this game because the commentators were talking about how their water froze in the booth.
Okay, here we go. Let's hear it, Andy.
No,
I have no notes on
little
the commentators. I thought they were fine.
No notes on the commentators?
I was hoping for some creepy Armin Katayan shit again, but
Yeah,
I
none
didn't
of that.
see. So yeah, I had nothing.
It was just typical Phil Simms, like, just like corny bullshit stuff. Like this is what we talked about. Like the stuff that bothers me is like those like lazy, like yeah, just like the corny shit. Like they're talking about, oh, if they played football at the North Pole, this is probably what it would be like. Come on, man! Like you can do better than that. You're a professional. Like take some, I don't know. And they're talking about Jeff
Take some
Fisher.
risks.
Jeff Fisher is the epitome of us against them. Like, literally not. Like, the entire Patriots have built a dynasty on that, but you're Jeff Fisher, of all fucking people?
I don't know. Was that a thing he says in the locker room a lot?
Well, hey, Greg, you want the whole context? Because I know you didn't watch it, Greg. And obviously, there's more context what Andy's saying here. They said, we interviewed Belichick, and he was just like, I got the guys ready to play. They're going to go out there and play. And then they interviewed Fisher, and he's like, I'm a rah-rah guy. I find a lot of speeches. I'll find anything to, like, find disrespect and, like, use that to motivate and, like, get a rah-rah speech.
Andy, comments?
Corny bullshit.
Okay.
All of it.
Apparently that's corny bullshit. That's sort of insight about the difference between the two coaches and the way they motivate their teams is corny
Well, in that
bullshit.
case, I was directing it at Jeff Fisher. But yes, Jeff Fisher's corny bullshit, too. But yeah, they were talking about how, like at the end of the game, the Titans were wasting their timeouts because they couldn't figure out how the play clock worked. So they're wasting their timeouts at the end there. And there was one play where it wasn't a timeout; it was just like an injury stoppage. So they stopped the clock and came back. And both of you can go fuck yourself.
Well, how dare they get this one wrong?
No, but they start talking about how like, oh well, you just wanted to be a timeout, so you go stand behind the heater. I turned it off because I'm a fucking tough guy. I'm like, fuck you. Stupid. Like all these people acting like
what it is. It's
pay to be there. Like this is your fucking job. Stop bitching about how cold it is.
All right, I have
You know what it is, Andy?
What is it?
It's workplace humor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
where you
and I
like
fucking
say
hate
jokes
that.
that you don't want to take risks, so you can't offend anyone. So you just you just say the generic joke, and you don't even know like what people know about things, or so you're just like, hey, how about the fucking weather, huh? And you just make like the most generic joke you can make.
Mondays,
But
am I right?
That shit sucks, dude. I have sympathy for them. They have to like appeal to a broad audience, so they have to tell jokes that are like that.
I don't think they do.
And I know that I say jokes like that at work, and when I say them, when they come out of my mouth, I'm like, I want to shoot myself for saying this. But it's like it's just part of the gig. You know?
It's not though, because I work too, and I don't say that. I say the
and that's why no one likes you, Andy, and you never get promoted. Is because you don't do the stupid jokes.
Wrong.
You're super offensive.
Everybody loves me.
Yeah.
I got kudos.
And he's like, dude, my dick is so small in this weather.
I mean, you know. Sometimes you got to say what you got to say.
That's the thing, right? Those are the jokes you would make.
Bitch shrivel up inside you.
Yeah.
No,
I got an innie. It's so cold out. You know, you can't make that joke on air.
No, but that 0 degrees one, that fucking kills at work.
I have a plus in the commentators.
That was funny, but that's corny humor too.
It's not. It's self-deprecating
nice,
humor.
Deep cut pro commentator.
Oh boy.
Very end of the game, they're taking a knee. And he's like, what do you think to do? They hand it off and have the guy stand there and get tackled, and then he fumbles it. And he's like, oh, come on, man. And they were talking about the miracle of the Meadowlands when the Eagles did that to the Giants. They handed it off and they didn't need to. He fumbles it, picks it up, scoops, and scores, and they win.
Who was it?
What's his name?
Because Phil Simms is a big Giants guy.
Wasn't that Herm Edwards?
It was Herm Edwards that
was the Eagles guy that picked it up and returned for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Cornerback Herman Edwards.
Yeah, exactly.
1917.
Yeah. Speaking of fumbles, I think the guy who had the worst game for the Patriots in this was Daniel Graham.
Oh, that's not even close.
And I understand. I remember now being like super frustrated with him because when he gets it right, like he's unstoppable. He's an absolute monster. He's this huge dude. He's like the same size and like physicality as Gronk. And he seems like he has like the maneuverability and the same athleticism as him, but he just like can't put it together. He dropped a couple of balls. Yeah. One that would have been like setting up a touchdown. And I think that one may have been when they missed the field goal, when Adam missed his field goal.
Pretty sure.
So that sucked. And then he also they're like, okay, well, you're not going to catch the ball down the field. So they ran a screen to him. He caught it, got 1 yard, got stood up, and then fumbled the ball there too, which the Titans recovered. And that was, when was that? That was halfway through the third.
It was right before they tried that double pass that.
Yeah, and this is like a couple plays later after Tennessee had scored the tying touchdown. So it's tie game 14 right now. Patriots like start moving the ball a little bit, and then Graham fumbles, Titans recover. And luckily
he's the
Titans
opposite of Kevin Falk.
Yeah, he's the anti-Kevin Falk.
Yeah, there is something about players where you get like an immediate eye test of whether they are that guy or not. Like N'Keal Harry is not that guy. He's a Daniel Graham category.
Yeah,
I can see that.
James White is a Kevin Falk category.
He's a Kevin Falk, yeah.
Edelman, even the rookie from NC State,
JJ Taylor.
No, the wide receiver.
I want to say Bird, but it's the other one.
Myers,
yeah.
Myers. He has the Kevin Falk, like fall forward.
Gene. Yeah.
Get the yards, know where the stick is.
Get 4 yards when you need 4. Yeah.
That's like a distinct characteristic of a player of like a yes or no. Do they have that?
I'm saying yes on JJ.
He's had like 4 carries in his career.
Yeah, how do you know that, dude? Yeah. Fine, he played third string Panthers players and did it.
Fine, I'm going to say yes on Gunnar Olszewski then.
Yeah,
that's how we're playing.
Too. I would sign off on that, yes. Olszewski's got those shifty moves that you saw from Edelman. It's actually a great comp, Andy.
I think so. Unlike yours.
You'll see.
Or maybe, yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we have no idea.
Ryan Tannehill.
The worst is like when you like a guy that doesn't have that gene and you're rooting for him. And like every time you're like, ooh, he's getting a screen, he's going to get yards. And then he gets like stood up and you're like, God damn it.
Come on. It was your chance.
You just want to be proven right. But yeah. You're just like, God damn it, man.
Holding your guy. You're just like, God damn.
Yeah. Holding on fucking number 15. You're like, fucking Harry.
God damn it, Sony Michel. Like I just want one
it's Sony Michel.
One broken tackle, bro.
Sony Michel.
I've been standing you since the beginning, and you just, come on. Yeah. Prove me right. Mm-hmm. I still think he's got it. He looked good. He looked good this past season.
If he can catch the ball, he'll be awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of catching the ball, though, we're going to jump kind of towards the end of the game because not much happened in the third quarter. Somebody who went from having like a great game to a terrible game, Drew Bennett.
From the hero to the GOAT.
Yeah, because he made
catches.
The Titans have on their last drive. I think they're in their 2-minute drill. And they're driving down the field. They get to about the New England 35 when it gets to the 2-minute warning. And down a field goal because Adam finally that was probably the closest field goal I've seen him kick.
Yeah, that's a pretty close one.
That one died halfway and just barely sailed over the left corner.
Snuck it in there.
Yeah, hooked it in. It would have been a great soccer goal, basically, kind of hook it in that top corner sort of thing. But on this drive, Drew Bennett makes 2 outstanding catches on the sideline. Both, I think, get reviewed. Both get upheld because he just keeps control, managed to tap both feet down. One of them was in double coverage, a ball that shouldn't have even been thrown to him. But because the Titans, I don't know, they just seem they didn't make a lot of they didn't make a lot of mistakes, but they made them at the worst possible times.
It was 2 minutes warning. They're on our 33.
Yeah.
And we're up 3.
Yeah.
And they're sitting pretty.
And then it goes intentional grounding, which I hate to call, but it was the right
It was.
call.
The Patriots just decided to bring big blitz every time. They're just like, all right.
Yeah.
He got like hurt and he was hobbled like the play before.
Yeah,
So
because
they
he
just,
ran
like,
for a
boom,
bunch
boom,
of
boom.
yards.
They just set everybody
McNair.
on.
Yeah. And then so they had the grounding and then a holding and then like a couple of non-plays. So it's 3rd and 23 and Bennett makes an amazing catch on the sideline, but it's still 4th and 12. So the Titans are still like, so they basically started at the 35 and now they're further back than that. And because they have, what's his name? Gary Anderson kicking.
Mr. Facebar himself.
Getting up there in age, so he's not going to be able to boot these long kicks in the cold because we've seen even Adam Vinatieri. He missed from 44 and then hit from 46, but that 46 was barely snuck over. And this is about that range for an old guy. So like, fuck, we're going to go for 4th and 12, going for it.
Okay.
And again, Patriots bring the blitz. McNair hucks it up like because that's what he does now, and hits Drew Bennett right in the hands. Like it was one of those things where Drew Bennett was like running past the defender and the ball hung up. So he stopped and everybody ran past him. And so he jumped up to catch it, hit him in both hands and sprung straight out. And then he got hit by 3, maybe 4 Patriots defenders. So he didn't have a chance to catch the rebound. And that was basically the game. But from having those 2 amazing catches to dropping what was essentially an easier version of those catches, like in the middle of the field.
It was a gimme, yeah.
Kind of uncontested, really, and just like hit him in both hands and he dropped it. It was a tough look.
It's my nightmare.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Because nobody remembers the other 2 catches.
And like catching a football is probably like I mean, you don't think about it, right?
No. I bet unless
it's
you
like
do, and that's what happens.
Muscle memory. It's a muscle memory thing. So like that's gotta be so hard to like mentally get over.
Yeah.
I know obviously I can make this catch. Why did I not make it there? Is it because I'm a beta and I can't handle pressure?
Right.
Is it because it was cold, or am I making excuses because it was cold? You know, like I wonder what the mental gymnastics that he goes through, having to like work through that.
Yeah.
They showed us a shot of Steve McNair like giving him a pep talk on the sideline like right after it. Just
really?
That's good leadership.
It is good leadership.
Great leadership. Yeah.
It's exactly what needs to happen. That's a tough way to go out though.
Yeah.
Because he had it. And the play was there.
Season's over.
There'd been like a first goal from the 20-yard line with like, I don't know, a minute left.
Yeah. Within field goal range now, and you could take the lead. So the Patriots take over with about a minute and a half left. And because the Titans had screwed up the clock so bad, I think they had to called a timeout early in the 3rd, I think, because they kept like running up against the play clock. And so they had
delay games too.
They had 3 total delay games. I think one was probably on purpose because of the punter.
That's because the Pats were messing with the radios, like they did it when Pittsburgh was here.
Oh, remember? Probably. No, they were messing with the play clocks. I would guess.
Cheaters.
That's what Tennessee fans would say. But yeah, they just like couldn't get the playoff in time, so they had to burn a timeout there, and then they burnt another one on defense, I think, because the Patriots were driving when they held them to a field goal. And then, so they only had the one timeout left. So they could only stop the clock once. So the Patriots ran it and then started to take a knee. But in true, like, I guess Brady Belichick fashion, the first time Brady goes to take a knee, he steps back as he's going to take a knee, but doesn't, to run a couple extra seconds off the clock. So the Titans do like the kind of like step forward and then realize the play's not over. And then they actually rush him and then he takes the knee, but they hit him anyway because, like, you know, I probably would too. Fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta hit him.
Yeah, if you're not going to go down, I'm going to make sure you do. So that starts a ruckus.
Harrison, they cut to him and he was
livid.
Because the only person had steam coming off his head in the whole game was Rodney Harrison.
Him and Teddy Bruschi were they were bouncing up and down the sidelines.
They were hot.
And so a skirmish breaks out, which worked in the Patriots' advantage because that kept the clock going during the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so it actually killed a decent amount of time. But then, so they took another knee. This time Brady actually takes it for real, like in one motion. And so There's now, I think they like let the clock run down to 3 seconds left, but it's 4th down. So what do you do? And I think this for me is another like just small example of Bill Belichick thinking of every single situation and probably had this dialed up. Yeah. But what do you do? Because like you said, you don't want
go on, Andy.
You don't want to hand it off. You can't take a knee because it's 4th down. Yep. So it's meeting a stop. So what do you do?
3 seconds left.
Yeah, you can't fumble it because you can't give the ball back. So what's the safest play? And so the Patriots come up, Brady snaps the ball, runs backwards, and just throws it as far as he can. And they send, I think it was David Givens down the sideline, and Brady overthrows him by about 20 yards. I think it probably should have been. It wasn't quite that. It was a little closer than he probably wanted it to be. But just so it wouldn't be grounding, so you wouldn't have the penalty. And that runs out the last 3 seconds of the game. And I can see by Greg's face, he doesn't agree with me. So first of all, fuck you. Second of all, why?
First of all, it's fucking common sense. Any coach in the NFL would have done that. What do you think? People are going to punt there?
You think Phil?
Literally, you could do one of 10 things. You could do, okay, I snap it and fucking walk backwards for 3 seconds. You could do a punt where they don't actually punt it. They just snap it and he stands there for 3 seconds. Teams do that shit all the time, dude.
But the play has to end. So what happens if your punter fumbles it? Like that's they took.
Okay, tell them to take a knee.
Yeah.
What if you get intentional grounding?
You've seen it before. You've seen a fair amount of football games end on just the air ball out of bounds where the guy running down the sideline.
Yeah.
I think it's
not before this.
Did he get out of the pocket? Did he get Brady out of the pocket?
Yeah.
No, but that's why they sent the guy down the sideline because they.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, because I've seen coaches direct the quarterback to immediately sprint out of the pocket and then throw it away, so they make sure they don't get intentional grounding.
But
it's funny. Belichick didn't think of that.
He didn't need to.
Tom Brady ran for 2 first downs this game.
Yeah, he had Tom Brady.
Are you going to leave it in the hands of the refs, Andy? Is that what you're
you can leave it in the hands of your franchise quarterback. That's why they sent the wide receiver down there. And you throw it in that general direction, problem solved.
Wait, if it's intentional grounding,
a receiver has to be in the area. No receiver.
I know, but it's a loss of down play. Does the other team get to play then? Yeah.
I don't know. So
can't end a defensive penalty, but that's an offensive penalty on a change of down.
I think you're right because didn't the Ravens do something like that a few years ago where it was they did something like that. It was supposed to be like a punt and they did like a delay a game or something on the punt and that ran the clock because they're on offense. And so it ran the last 5 seconds off and that was the end of the game. And so I think they've actually since closed that loophole.
Sounds like a loophole, right?
Yeah. So if Belichick doesn't figure it out, fucking what's his name will.
So the Pats win on a Belichick genius play. 17-14?
17-14. No.
17-14. And we're on to the AFC conference game. 13 wins in a row?
13 wins in a row.
Are we 13? 13 wins in a row.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's a wagon.
Yeah. And
they're a wagon.
And they've only got one blowout in that, which was week 17.
You just held the 5th-ranked offense to 14 points.
Mm-hmm. And not a lot of yards either.
Yeah.
Let's see. They had 284 total yards, which is not bad. Patriots had
not very many.
No. McNair played well, I think, still.
Well, this is a good jumping point to the other games.
Yeah.
To put it into some context of what. Yeah.
Yeah, because they kept
as good as the Patriots are.
Yeah. Talk to me.
The Colts.
No, I was talking.
So the Colts. Did all there's 3 other divisional games going on? They're all ridiculous.
All of them.
So the Colts. So as good as the Pats have been defensively, the Colts have been like even more impressive offensively in the playoffs. Yeah. They are an absolute offensive wagon.
Yeah, steamrolling teams.
They haven't punted in 2 games.
It's like General Sherman running through
the
city.
They don't punt until they play the Patriots. I remember that clearly.
Just raising things to
the ground. I remember their first punt.
Yeah, so they beat the Broncos, beat the brakes off them 41-10. 479 total yards, no punts.
Didn't Manning have a perfect passer rating.
Passer rating, 5 touchdowns, no picks. This week against the Chiefs, they go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs 38-31, 434 total yards, no punts.
Barn burner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game must have been very entertaining.
Yeah.
I watched the highlights and the Colts were just fucking unstoppable. Like they just kept, every time the Chiefs would score a touchdown, they got a Dante Hall kickoff return for a touchdown. Like, okay, we're back in this. And then Manning would just be like, 8 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. Like every single fucking time.
Well, this is
unstoppable.
Didn't we talk about this is the season that the Colts came back against, was it Tampa or Chicago or someone, and they scored 30 points in the fourth quarter, something stupid like that.
Dude, they came back against the Pats, almost beat the Pats.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
Peyton Manning in these 2 games has thrown 8 touchdowns, no picks, 680 yards, and only 12 incompletions.
So wait, he has almost as many touchdowns as incompletions?
Yep, and his teams have scored 79 points.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's coming into New England, and he's a co-MVP.
Right.
With the guy you just beat.
Right.
So there, this is literally like the irresistible force versus the immovable object.
Right.
Is what's about to happen next week in New England. So that's one of the AFC, the playoff games.
Yes.
We go to the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles beat the Packers 20-17 in overtime. This is the 4th and 26.
Oh my God.
Freddie Mitchell.
Yes.
Game. So
Freddie Mitchell's the one that caught the 4th and 26.
Oh yeah, dude.
I did not know that was a Fred X.
Fred X. Yes.
God damn.
Yes.
Okay.
That's basically like his only calling card. Is that
that's his highlight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He made a name out of that one player.
Oh yeah, he milked that one good. Yeah.
So it was they were down 3. The Eagles were down 3 at home. It's a minute 12 left, and it was 4th and 26. And they convert it to Freddie Mitchell. They tie it, go to overtime. And then you guys will love this, but Brett Favre throws an absolutely horrendous overtime interception. He punts it to Brian Dawkins, who returns it to like the Packers 40-yard line. They kick a field goal, game over. Packers season done.
I remember that because NFL 2K came out around this time. Remember those games for the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
And they used to do like the situations, and this was the one that they put in the game, and it was like the hardest one to do because it was 4th and 26, and you're playing with the fucking Eagles. And I had such a hard time completing that task. Not an easy one to do.
Yeah, so this is the Eagles' 3rd straight trip to the NFC title game.
Yep, they would make
Andy
4
Reid, Donovan McNabb. Yep.
Yeah.
And then meeting them there will be the Carolina Panthers, who beat the Rams.
Oh my God. This was the one that they kept showing the highlights of because this game had already happened.
Yeah, this game was, I watched like the condensed game.
Yeah.
It was absolute insanity.
Yeah. It looked
so this is the tail end of the Rams' greatest show on turf. So it's actually not Kurt Warner anymore. This is Mark Bolger.
Yeah.
But they still got Mike Martz. They got Bruce. Torrey Holt led the NFL in receiving yards. They still have Marshall Faulk. So this is still very much the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
They're huge favorites at home. Yeah. Against Jake Delhomme, Mushin Muhammad, and Steve Smith.
And who was their running back too? Because it was a rookie running back because the other guy got hurt. Because it was Steven Davis, but he got hurt.
Steven Davis, and then Deshaun Foster.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Guy from UCLA. Yeah. So the most of the game was pretty cagey. There was like a shit ton of field goals, a lot of missed opportunities. But basically, it gets to 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Rams have kicked 5 field goals. So they're down 11 with 2:39 left.
Oh my God.
They storm down. They score a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Kick an onside kick. Jeff Wilkins recovers his own onside kick.
Hell yeah, Jeff Wilkins. After kicking 5 field goals already in this game.
Yeah. He kicks 5 field goals, recovers his own onside kick. He kicked 4 up to that point. Not the spoiler, but
okay.
So then they march down with they have it's a 2-minute warning. They're on the 30-yard line, and Mike Marks for some reason plays for overtime. They have the number 1 offense in the NFL, and he's no. They run it 3 times,
just scores a touchdown,
kick a field goal. They burn a minute and a half off the clock on purpose.
Jesus,
didn't make any sense. So they kick the field goal, tie the game, go to overtime, and both teams have get it into the opponent's territory twice. Jeff Wilkins, after going 5 for 5 in regulation, misses a 54-yard field goal.
I mean, that's a long one, but still. Yeah. Come on, man.
The Panthers march down to the 33-yard line, kick a field goal. It's good. They had to delay a game. Back it up 5 yards, kick the second one, miss it.
John Casey, who I think we'll see later.
John Casey, he went 3 for 3 up. He missed one when they were up 11 too. He hit the upright when they were up 11. That would have made it 14. So then the Rams get the ball back and they're driving. They're in Panthers territory, late first overtime. They throw a pass. It gets picked off by Manning, who tears it away from Torrey Holt. So they pick it off at their own 39. So they were almost in field goal territory. And then the very first play of second overtime, a deep slant to or post route to Steve Smith, and he just house call. See you later. Jason Sehorn just gets torched, the last remaining white defensive back, ends his career on that play, chasing Steve Smith 69 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And the Panthers walk off. They end a 13-game home winning streak for the Rams.
Wow.
The Rams are done. This no one team with Jake Delhomme starting at quarterback makes the NFC conference game.
End of the dynasty, you would say, for the Rams?
I think that's the end of the greatest show on turf. Yeah.
I don't think they were ever the same.
Just an absolute crazy game. It could have been won on 6 different plays that didn't go their way.
Yeah, and it just
and on the first overtime, no one scored. They played a whole overtime with no scores.
Yeah,
an entire quarter.
And 2 field goals.
Yep.
And then literally the first play of second overtime.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a cagey defensive no one scored because the defense were playing terrible. They just got lucky on these missed field goals or interceptions. It was just insanity.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. and I'll see if I can find a screenshot of Mike Martz's face when they missed that field goal after the penalty, where he just did this he did a little kid in a thing where he puts his hands over his mouth. I was oh my god. it was just it's just a childlike reaction of I'm so excited. But he was getting a ton of criticism after the game, especially because he didn't try and go for it.
Yeah, he played to not lose.
Regulation. Yeah, with the best offense in the NFL. Yeah,
he played not lose. You're right.
Yeah,
typical Mike Martz.
More like Mike Farts.
Oh shit!
Mike farts in his pants.
All right, you want to do best and worst?
Best and worst, yeah. Steve, what do you got?
Worst. I'm just going to start with the best of the best. Troy Brown 4th and 3 conversion.
Yeah, Troy Brown for 3.
Yeah. Oh, Troy Brown on the 4-3.
Yep.
On 4th down.
Got it. Troy Brown clutch, and you didn't really have any other catches.
Of the game.
I think it was his second, but yeah, he had one other that was a screenplay that didn't go anywhere. But I mean that was kind of this offense too. They showed the stat of the pass distribution, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on this list. Fourier leads it with 3 catches. Bethel Johnson has 2 catches. Everybody else has 1.
Dietrich Ward is in there getting the nice.
Dietrich Ward, yeah. Kevin Fall, Givens, Brown, Larry Centers, Dion Branch, 1 catch.
I had another sneaky best.
All right.
Tank Williams has his whole name on his jersey.
That's pretty good.
I mean, especially Tank.
Let's be fair. If my name was Tank anything, you damn well better be sure that name.
You think they had like 2 T Williams on the team, and they're like, "Well, we have 2 T Williams. We'll just put like Tank's name's only 4 letters long, anyways."
Stat check.
That's my guess.
Tennessee Titans.
I think he is the only one. I'm looking at the roster right now, and this is one on offense.
Let's see.
Albert Hainsworth, shout out.
Shout out Albert Hainsworth when you're still trying. Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, second year.
I see no other.
The worst was the pick 6 for Teddy Bruschi. That was false start.
Oh, that was rough.
It was a quick throw on a hot throw from McNabb. Was catch it and throw it.
Yeah,
Bruschi had it, but you couldn't even hear the false start. It was so loud.
Bruschi had it, and with nobody near him, just yards of green in front of him, would have been a pick 6. Yeah, and I think that ended up with that was the tying touchdown too.
Derek
the Titans were going to score.
Yeah, on that he freaking
so a huge swing, 14-point swing. Yeah, tough. Greg, best and worst. What do you got?
Okay, the worst. I'm gonna say the over under.
For the negatives. Always looking for the negatives first. Such a pessimist.
The over-under on this game was at 34. Like, imagine that in the modern NFL.
Did they not know what this is going to be?
Under.
Yeah.
No shit.
Imagine hitting the under 34 over-under.
It was
game,
negative
I guess
10.
Yeah. So that's
granted, both these teams are like pass-first teams, which is like kind of the new thing in the NFL at this point. Like the Patriots came out in 5 wide pretty much the whole game.
Pass D was just so good back then, though.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Brady threw it 41 times.
But he wasn't particularly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a lot of times, though.
Yeah,
because they had no run game, dude.
It's true. I mean,
Antoine had a couple good carries, but that's it.
Antoine ran well, I thought. The Patriots had 27 carries for 96 yards.
He did run well.
Yeah, he was doing pretty good. Then he got hurt on that play.
He did.
He had 1 more carry, and that was it.
16 carries, 69 yards, touchdown, longest of 17. Not bad.
All right, so for my best, I'm doing a preemptive best.
Okay.
For next week, because just giving one best to Ty Law for next week is not
You're just gonna give
nearly enough. He needs at least 2 bets.
Maybe
so
even
I'm
3.
getting a preemptive Ty Law best for the AFC conference game. I can't fucking wait
to
rewatch this game because I fucking love Ty Law.
It's true. This is definitely his best game.
The vet, legendary game.
One of the all-time games of any cornerback.
Yeah. All right, my best. We in this house we do best first. Is Tom Brady still has not thrown an interception at home. He threw another touchdown. So I think he's 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions at home, which is crazy considering he's thrown 12 interceptions on the season. So good for him. So every single interception has come on the road, all 12 of them. But he's unflappable at home.
Yeah,
unflappable.
So luckily they're playing at home next week.
And unflappable.
Unflappable. Well, I don't think he's unflappable.
Well, unflappable.
He's a good-looking man.
Do you care to explain that to Mom who's listening?
No, we'll just say.
Sometimes a naughty boy.
What is it?
Very naughty.
Yeah, I apologize, Mom. I'm sorry.
Trust me, Mom. You don't want to know.
Do not Google that. My worst.
Hold on. I have a great mom story. I remember going up to Mom and being like, "Hey, Mom, what's a wanker?" She's like, "Someone who masturbates a lot." Now, never say that again.
Oh. I did something similar, but it was what's the word?
Yeah.
The one who fucks animals. What's that word that the English use all the time?
Bugger?
Bugger,
yeah.
I asked Dad what bugger is. Like, why do you call everybody bugger? What does that mean? Like, well, technically it means somebody who has sex with animals, so don't say it.
That's it?
Yeah, no,
Oh.
don't tell
You're
me.
going to say that.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Oh, that takes on a different meaning than the way you use it. My worst in this game was, I think the way that the commentating team built up Craig Hentrick, the Titans punter's knuckleball punt that he does. Only does it sometimes, but it's impossible to catch. And so they were waiting for him to do it, And then he finally did it. And it was a net punt of 14 yards. So in a whole 14 yards, it knuckled because when he kicked it, he just kicked it and it didn't rotate. So it just like hung in the air. And the Patriots just like, cool. they didn't return it, but it hit and it bounced 15 yards backward towards them. So it was a net punt of 14 yards. Yeah.
Knuckleball.
So
I thought it was a good punt, but
the punt itself was great, but it was
kind of cool to see a punt like a knuckleball just dropping, like it wasn't spinning.
Yeah.
But the whole buildup of it, cool. Like, he's gonna do a knuckle, and then he does it, and it's like it's a. I thought it was good.
It just bounced funky, just got a bad bounce.
Yeah, it's. I mean, ask Tim Wakefield. That's what happens. It's all about the weather when it's knuckleball.
I have another worst, Andy.
Oh, good.
When you told Greg, in this house we do best first.
Yeah. Damn right.
Get out of here, dude.
You're the most negative person in the world. You hate everything and everybody.
Except for the Patriots.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the Patriots, we do best first.
In this house, we're positive. Get fucked. Get fucked.
Well, on that note, what's next week, Greg?
Next week, the immovable object versus the unresistible force, unstoppable force.
Yeah,
nailed it.
The Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, Colts come to New England. This game must have been so fucking hyped.
Oh yeah,
it was.
Just like this is just such a fucking cool matchup because they're like completely different teams.
Yeah.
And both like the best units in the NFL at their
best
own
offense versus the best defense.
Yeah.
The game that they played in the regular season was an absolute classic.
Absolute classic. Came down and now we get to do it again in New England. There's snow in the forecast. Let's go. Dude, I'm hyped.
Who was favored in this game, do you think?
Colts.
Pop quiz.
Pats by 3.
Pats by 3.5.
Oh.
Surprising.
Yep.
So.
Toss up, but give Pats 3 for home field advantage. 3.5 because it's snowing.
50% chance of snow, 100% chance of a good football game. So, if you have any comments, if you're our mother and you want to talk about things that are
very naughty,
you can text the Dynasty Hotline. Steve Brown, what's the number?
505. No. 603.
603 505.
Troy Brown 43
8043.
Because
if anybody's going to convert 4th and 3, who's it going to be?
It's got to be Troy Brown.
603 505 8043. Tell us your best Patriots story. Tell us your best Mama Brown story.
Tell us your best Piggly Wiggly story.
Tell us your best wanker story.
Yeah. What's been your favorite all-time masturbation? Where was it? What did you watch?
Sometimes a naughty boy.
And on that note, we will, until next week, we will see you later.
See you later.